Hello again, everybody. Before I get into this video, a couple things. Thank you all for the nice messages off my last video I did with my wife. She's fine. She's at work right now, so everything's good. Um, she's happy with it. She actually thanked me because once I replayed it and she was able to hear her story come out of her own mouth, but being able to watch her story come out of her own mouth, it really helped her in accepting a lot of what happened and believing that she is a victim. A couple other things. If you're going to send me your stories, I'm going to ask you to do this. In every one of my videos, in the description box under the PayPal link is a link to my Facebook page. Send me a Facebook request and send me your story through Facebook because YouTube is very difficult for me to read. The text is too small. It's garbled and a lot of it goes to spam. So I have to always be looking for it. So remember my Facebook link is always under the PayPal link in the description box. And what we have here is another video from a PayPal donation. And remember, if you do make a contribution of any size and you want your story made into a video, you go right to the top of the list. So here we go. And this came in through YouTube. So bear with me. I read through it once because it does come in off YouTube, and they're much harder to read for some reason on YouTube. Oh, and one other thing. If you're going to use your speak to talk to text function on your phone, make sure you're adding in the punctuation because otherwise it all just comes into a run-on sentence, one big block of text. And you can do that just by saying period, exclamation, question mark, and it does all that. Otherwise, it's one block of text and it's nearly impossible to decipher. Okay, and again, like I said, this is from a contribution, so here we go. My parents were the picture of rationality when I was growing up. They divorced when I was 2, but I only saw them argue once. They were always stable and did a good job removing any hurdles in my way. When I told my mom that a stepbrother inappropriately touched me, she permanently barred him from either entering her house again, even when I'm not home. From ages 0 to 18, I only saw them act irrationally in one area. They mildly scapegoated my brother when he was a teenager, for no reason mentioned below. However, when I turned 18, they seemed to turn on me. They both have control issues, and they're both indulging their narcissistic sides way too much. I believe narcissism is a spectrum, and everyone is a little narcissistic, but a person with true NPD is batshit fucking crazy. My parents definitely don't have NPD. I've had encounters with both a narcissistic boss in my past, and she was 1,000 times worse than my parents. You got to remember with personality disorders, some are overt, some are covert, and depending where you are on the narcissistic spectrum, okay, from the beginning of this, it sounds like you might have been the golden child and your brother might have been scapegoat. It sounds like he was the scapegoat or the black sheep. And a narcissist at work a lot of times is different than a parental narcissist in that they hold the power to hire you, fire you, make your life miserable. So there can, even though there's similar behaviors, there's a different dynamic involved in it. Because as an adult, a boss is somebody who has power over you, whereas your parents shouldn't have power over you anymore. The power your parents have over you should end when you're 18 at the latest, when you become an adult, but they should start respecting your boundaries as you get into your teen years and you become closer and closer to becoming an adult. So it's two different dynamics because a boss actually does have power over you. However, with all their narcissistic tendencies lately, I am 10 years into adulthood. I'm 28 years old now, and they've undid all the good favor they gained from 18 years they spent raising me. I have plans to move to low contact and accept that I don't get loving parents in my adulthood, but I still can't help to ask. They've been good people for a large portion of their lives. Why are they indulging in narcissism now? What caused the shift? Any perspective from you would be greatly appreciated. Thank you, Ollie. So let's see. I made a list of events to prove that they are acting like narcissists. I narrowed it down to the most absurd examples. Feel free to only read a couple if this is too much. First, they threw an intervention after I quit my job working for a narcissistic boss. I had plenty of money saved to provide a safety net for myself. My mom made up nasty lies about me, using kernels of truth, and then repeated those lies to me during the intervention. Her eyes were like a crazed hyena feeding on its prey. Okay, your parents have been narcissists their whole lives. I just suspect you have been in the golden child spectrum there, where you didn't notice it. You don't pick up those type of tendencies on adult children. You either have them or you don't. You've been working those your whole life, or you haven't. And they've probably been working them on your brother or other people. And that's born out of jealousy. Okay? Your mother probably enjoyed, and your parents probably enjoyed the fact that you were miserable at your job, because a lot of times narcissists don't want to see you do better than they do. And they do it under the guise of they're helping you out and you're ruining your life, whereas you're responsible enough to quit a job with a safety net to find something you want to do. That's typical narcissism right there. On my birthday a few years ago, my mom insisted on buying me shorts. When I was modeling them for her, she said, "It looks like you're developing a little belly. I'm the skinniest person on the planet. Your mother's in competition with you." Let me finish this. It was clearly a comment made out of wishful thinking on her part. Yeah, this is the only time she has vocalized her tendency to compete with me when it comes to looks. But there have been other clues she does this regularly. She compliments me when I'm dressed like a bum, and ignores and teases me the few times I actually dress up or, dare I say, look hot. She's always trying to compare her athleticism to mine. This is something my mother did regularly. She learned from her mother, where her mother would try to steal her boyfriends. My mother would get involved with my girlfriends. You know, my mother said about my now wife when she met her, I had a better body at her age. I was hotter at her age. It's always a comparison. These things were going on your entire life and you didn't realize it. She was complimenting you on things that would hurt you in her mind, things that would make you look less attractive to her. And you probably never noticed it until you got into your adulthood and maybe got a little bit more confidence about yourself and started expressing yourself through dress and, you know, looking good and looking hot, as you said. And your mother's true colors come out, okay, where she's actually in competition with you and sabotaging you. This is who your mother's been her whole life. You just never realized it. When my brother was a teenager, my mom and dad frequently had discussions about my brother's supposed bad attitude, treating him like a scapegoat. It was completely normal. My brother and I practically identical, high GPA, athletic, even similar mannerisms. So to make one of us the golden child and the other the scapegoat was absurd. Still, to this day, my brother makes comments about how they prefer me over him. He's not even aware that they've switched it. I'm the scapegoat now. Probably because your brother isn't giving them their supply anymore. So if I had to guess, your brother's probably backed off of them, gone less contact with them, but now they got to get their supply from somewhere else, you. And being that you're a female, your mother's a female, your mother sees probably all females in her life as competition, okay, because your mother seems very pent up on looks. So she's going to naturally try to get her supply off you, okay? And the better looking you are, see, with a narcissistic mother, the better looking the daughter becomes, the worse the mother feels, because it's evidence of their own getting older and getting age. If I had to guess, your mother might probably has tried to pass herself off as your sister at times. That's what my wife's mother tries to do, pass herself off as her sister, dresses like a teenager, makes comments, on and on and on. This is very typical with narcissistic mothers. I would suggest you have a real honest conversation with your brother as well, because you may not have seen or even realized how bad it was for him growing up. As the golden child, who said you felt love and every obstacle was moved out of your way. Yeah, but not for him. You don't know how bad it was for him or how badly this may have affected him. And I've spoken about this many times. When the narcissist can't get their supply from the scapegoat and they turn on the golden child doesn't know how to handle it, don't know what to do, and it kind of just throws them in a tailspin, like my whole life has been for, like, what is this? What happened? And it can be very, very confusing. And the fact that you're the scapegoat now, your brother might not believe it. He may not believe it. He may not see anything they're doing to you as bad as what they were doing to him, because what happened to him as a child, you're an adult. He might figure, well, as an adult, you can handle it better. Okay? But to be blindsided by this, by your own parents, okay, is very traumatic for you at this point. But you two are going to have a lot of trouble understanding each other. He's going to have to put himself in your position, as if you're feeling the way he was feeling as a child, and now you're getting a taste of how your brother felt growing up. Like the confusion and anger and all that stuff you're feeling now. Imagine having to deal with that in your adolescence growing up from your own parents. Much difficult. It could be, I don't want to say it's more difficult, but it kind of is more difficult, because as a child you don't exactly know how to process it. Whereas now as an adult, you know to start looking up narcissism and where to start to attack it. My first year of college, I dropped an unnecessary physics class, and both my parents threw a fit despite the fact I didn't need the class. They couldn't be reasoned with no matter how much I explained the situation. My brother used to drop unnecessary courses every semester, and my parents thought it was a smart strategy to weed out bad classes. They praised him for it. I repeated over and over again, Greg does the same thing. Greg does the same thing. You told me what a smart strategy it is. What are you freaking out about? Fake name used. They're freaking out because a physics class, and they might have pinned you. Your mother wanted to keep you as bummy in a physics class because they probably saw you as more earning potential than your brother. And him dropping classes might be a way for them to actually sabotage him by actually letting him think they're doing him a favor, letting him think he's doing the right thing. Okay? The physics class, coupled with your mother complimenting you when you look like a bum and not when you look like a, as you said, dressed up looking hot like a woman, would tell me that they're trying to fit you into almost a male role to replace him and sabotage him and let him kind of, hoping that he kind of just falls off a cliff, falls off the wayside. It's a very, very covert, passive-aggressive type of narcissism that seems your parents are involved with. Based on her actions and the things she said to me, I've concluded that my mom believes that at my core, I am nasty, evil, bad, and wrong. Why does she believe this? Not because I do anything evil, it's because I'm not a carbon copy of her and I don't act the way she wants me to. We disagree on key things because we're two completely separate people. No, your mother knows you're better than her, and you're probably better looking than your mom, and your mom is just jealous of you. Your mom is just jealous of you. That's all there is to this. Your mom is completely jealous of you. My dad will never admit to being wrong or apologize. That sounds familiar. Even when I'm right, I'm wrong. Even when I'm wrong, I'm right. That's my father's line. Even when I'm wrong, I'm still right. Sometimes this means he uses gaslighting. Oh, please stop being dramatic when bringing up past or current grievances. He recently discussed possibly apologizing to my mom about he was in their marriage 30 years ago, because he's just now realizing what he did might qualify as verbal abuse. Too late, dude. Yeah, he's up to something. He's looking for something. My mom always admits to being wrong, but never seems to take any responsibility on her shoulders. For example, I asked her why she feels the need to control everyone and everything, which she admits to. First, she said it was because she felt powerless when she was married at 19 to a man 9 years older than her. Then, when I pointed out that was 30 years ago, she said maybe she has control issues because when she remarried my stepdad, my brother and I didn't like him, so that stressed her out. The last time I hated my stepdad was 14 years ago. And this is the same stepdad with the stepbrother who came in and tried to touch you inappropriately, right? And she stayed married to this dude. What does that tell you? Tells me your mother values her relationships more than she values her children or her daughter. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And the reason now because I glossed over the stepdad thing, the reason why she's harder on your brother is because probably your stepdad sees your brother as competition as well. Your mother sees you as competition. Your stepdad probably sees the brother as competition. So she denigrates your stepbrother, but she's still jealous of you and wants to keep you looking like a bum. You see what's going on here? My dad will attempt to brainwash by repeating the same lecture over and over and over again. And when they do that, when they keep the same lecture over and over and over again, you're not the one they're trying to convince. They're trying to convince themselves. You see? At some point normal people will accept my kids aren't going to be carbon copies of me. They need to be their own individual person. The narcissist doesn't understand that there's individuality and there's a need to be different. And some people are just born different. The narcissist takes it as an affront to them, a personal affront to them, as a pointed finger and saying, like, you're wrong for being this way. And nobody's saying right or wrong. I'm just different. But a narcissist doesn't see different. They only see right or wrong. So if you're doing something differently than what the narcissist thinks it should be done, the narcissist then is questioning themselves. Well, maybe I'm wrong. I can't be wrong. No way. So that's why they hammer over and over and over again. Okay, trying to change you, because if you don't change, there lies the possibility that they could be wrong. And then and that's really born out of them questioning their own selves in their own heads. It's not you they're trying to convince, it's themselves. I recently asked him to stop, as his point has been made. He raised his voice and yelled the lecture at me. When I kept telling him to stop, he ceased contact with me for 3 weeks. Yay! And you should have just kept it going. Keep it going. On the drive back to my house, though, he took shots in the dark at me about what a bad person I am and jumped from one strategy to another, hoping one would hit me where it hurts or convince me I'm crazy. You're not crazy. You have 2 narcissistic parents and probably a narcissistic stepdad and a stepbrother who's kind of screwed in the head, obviously. You were the golden child growing up, but that doesn't mean you were any less abused, because look what happens now. Okay, there's obviously jealousy issues between your mother and you, between your mother on you. I'm not saying you're jealous of your mother. Your mother is clearly jealous of you. Your father is intimidated by your intelligence. So that's why he doesn't want you to have a differing opinion than him, because he probably realizes you're smarter than he is. And for your father to have to admit he's wrong, he'd rather throw himself off a cliff. So if he can't get you to see things his way or do things his way, then in his mind, it's not that you're just different. You're a different person. You have different likes. There's different genetics, and we're wired differently, and there's no right or wrong. It's an opinion. It's a preference. Everything with him is right or wrong. So if he can't change you and he can't convince you, okay, to do things his way, then when in essence what you're telling him is he's wrong. And what he's really afraid of is that the possibility that he might be wrong. Because a narcissist never wants to admit that they're wrong. And your mother takes no responsibility. So your mother likes the fact that she's divorced from your father. He's 9 years older than, and it doesn't matter that it happened 30 years ago. If you watch my video, narcissists live in dog years. Doesn't matter what, anything that happens bad to them is in dog years. So 1 year is 7 years, and you're going to be hearing about it for the rest of your life, the rest of their life. They don't let go of their crutches. They don't let go of, what gets them out of there getting called on their nonsense. Ever, 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 ever. They don't do it because they won't even admit there's a problem. They'd rather die first than do that. What I would suggest is you and your brother sit down and have a real honest conversation about how he felt growing up, how you felt growing up, how he actually felt about you. Did he hate you? Did he dislike you? What did he see? Okay? Don't argue with each other. Accept each other. You two are going to have to accept each other, what you guys are saying, as truth, as feeling. This is how I felt. Don't argue somebody's feelings of how they were feeling at the time. That's an honest reaction. Okay, even if he says, I think you hurt me, and you can't argue that stuff. You got to accept that he was hurt, but then explain your perspective of how you were hurt as well. But you and your brother aren't the issue. And remember that you and your brother are not the issue. It's your parents are the issue, and your stepfather are the issue. These are narcissists. These are covert narcissists. Okay, who use passive-aggressive tactics to get their way. But the second you fight them back and do something that they don't want to do, then they're going to bring the heat. That's when they're going to get nasty. They're going to tell you what a bad person you are, how you've always been bad, how you've always been a problem, just to hurt you. And the reason they're trying to hurt you is because when you're wounded, you're more susceptible to giving them their way. Your parents are not on some spectrum of narcissism. They are narcissists. This is narcissistic personality disorder, in my opinion. This is a classic case of it. You were the golden child, so you might not have seen it because you were given love. But the love that they gave you was almost an abuse to your brother. You understand? And even though the dynamics switched a little bit when you got older, it was probably because, like I said, it's probably because your brother stopped giving them that supply and they needed to get it from somewhere else. And your mother saw you becoming the woman that she never was, wanted to be, and wants to hold you down. Because remember, the narcissist always wants to be able to look down their nose at you. They'll want you to be successful, but only successful enough so they can still look down at you. So keep that in mind. Thank you for your contribution. I really appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your story. I hope this helped. I hope you got something out of it. Let me know how you feel about it. Thank you for everyone else who's watched. Any comments in the comment box will be appreciated. And remember, if you do enjoy this channel, please consider making a contribution to the PayPal link in the description box. And remember, a contribution of any size, if you want your story made into a video, you go right to the top of the list and I'll immediately make you a video. This is Ollie Matthews. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all again shortly. Telephone. Bye.